Welcome to the Great Detectives of Old Time Radio from Boise, Idaho. This is your host, Adam Graham. If you have a comment, email it to me, box13@greatdetectives.net. Follow us on Twitter at Radio Detectives and become one of our friends on Facebook, facebook.com/Radio Detectives. I do want to encourage you to check out my wife's business over at Ashira Clips, where Andrea sells Lila Rose hair clips. There's a whole wide variety of different sizes and styles to suit most women's taste, along with hairbands and hairpins. You can go to lilarose.biz. That's LILLA rose.biz/Ashira, ASHIRA, to shop her store. You can also check out her Facebook page at ashira.greatdetectives.net. In addition, Andrea has openings to do online parties, and if you're willing to host one, you'll have an opportunity to win free and discounted items. You can email me and I'll forward along any interest in hosting the party. Just send that to me at box13@greatdetectives.net. But now we're going to get into today's episode of Let George Do It. This one originally aired July the 2nd, 1951. And the title is Everybody Happy?
Personal notice. Strangers might talk and play. If the job's too tough for you to handle, you got a job for me, George Valentine. Right, full detail. Greetings once again, mystery lover. Time for another Let George Do It adventure. This particular yarn puts murder on a very high plane. It's called Is Everybody Happy? And it chiefly concerns a rich old codger named Lorenzo, who had a fetish for constantly quoting Mr. Ted Lewis's hallmark. Namely, is everybody happy? Now, of course, you know that nobody was. Well, why this condition existed is not for me to tell, but for you to find out. Is everybody frustrated?
Madame Estefani. How's that, Professor? Where I come from, we say, come and get it. Different, huh?
That's very good, Lorenzo.
So, I'm learning. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, huh? How would that go in your pipe, Dr. Merfield?
Hey, what's that? No, thank you. No soup for me.
Listen to that. Still upstairs with his test tube. Me, I am ignorant. I could only invent a rose bush, make $1 million and smoke cigars.
I'm sorry, Lorenzo. What was the doctor's sight? His mind, there was nothing like it. More absent than present.
Stop it, you Hanson, be quiet.
Pipe. I think you said something.
Never mind. Is everybody happy? Now, is everybody happy? Well, that's the way you feel. I go back to my garden.
No, of course we are, Lorenzo.
You just asked it so many times, that's all.
I know. Excuse me. But there never was a place like this, was there? There never was.
Oh, I'm only kidding, Lorenzo.
It's the house of Lorenzo the Great.
No, per favore. I only want you all to be happy.
Besides, aren't we going to wait for that brother-in-law of yours?
Rex? No, he is unimportant. He is not scholars like you are. Fred is nothing. He's not waiter for Fred. Forget him.
Huh?
Whatever you say. So, there you are, Lorenzo. Everybody's happy, huh? Let's see.
No, wait. Professor Amy.
What?
I should have noticed. I rang for dinner before she finished reading her letter. Now, what kind of a letter do you suppose a professor of romance like
Oh,
Richard
no,
would...
it's nothing like that.
Well, she blushes.
I mean, it's just when I was writing...
Oh, she writes to someone. Gets better and better. Into every life, a little...
Oh, please, all of you. It's no one you know. I mean, just a man named George Valentine. Now, please. Everybody's happy. Let's eat.
Dark, you can't see much.
It's certainly a beautiful place, isn't it? The House of Lorenzo. It's going to be one of the most unusual places in the world. I think Lorenzo must be one of the greatest men who ever lived.
Well, he made one of the greatest piles of money.
Oh, Mrs. Valentine, I don't mean on account of that. But it is on account of that, isn't it? There are 3 of us here so far. Dr. Merkel, he's a research psychologist. Lorenzo's going to build him a laboratory later on. Then there's Mr. Hanson. He's a poet, a good one. And he used to have to work in an accounting office to earn a living. So you can imagine how much poetry he got written.
Mm-hmm. How about yourself?
Well, I taught Romance languages. But translation is always what I wanted to do. I'm working on Francois Villon now.
Everybody gets a chance to do what they want.
Well, not quite everybody, Miss Brooks. Lorenzo is being very choosy about his guests. But I guess eventually there'll be 30 or 40 here.
Sort of a one-man Guggenheim Foundation, huh?
In a way, Lorenzo says that he always had to work so hard that, except for his roses, he never had a chance to do anything he wanted.
So now he's giving all of you a chance.
Oh, he's a little eccentric, maybe. Is everybody happy, he always says. I know people laugh about that slogan he stole from Ted Lewis.
But then, why do you want me here? Suppose Lorenzo would permanently endow me with a fresh mystery case every week?
He might.
I'm sorry, I was trying to be funny. What is it you're afraid of?
Fred. Who? Fred Jeffries. He's one of those horn-rimmed sort of men. He's a lawyer. And Lorenzo's brother-in-law.
Go on.
Well, he's been here a week now, from back east where the company is. He thinks Lorenzo is crazy.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I'm beginning to get it. Boy's a reality, huh? And you're afraid he'll persuade Santa Claus to go back to the North Pole.
Well, Lorenzo has a great deal of money. How he chooses to use it is, well, I mean, it could cause unhappiness as well as happiness.
Oh, now, please, don't stack the cards for me on who's right and who's wrong.
I'm right, Mr. Valentine. I'll prove it to you.
Crazy, he said. Crazy. Yes, that's just what he said.
Dr. Merkel.
You see, this Fred Jeffries came here, maybe a week ago. The same day Nolan left.
Who left?
Dr. Nolan. A loafer. No good. Electronics man of some sort, but a potterer. And really not so much of an authority.
Remember, I told you how careful Lorenzo is in picking his people to stay.
Look, both of you, please.
Yes, we were the lucky ones. We stay.
When you stay, unless Fred interferes and blows the whole idea up, right? Persuades Lorenzo not to sink his whole fortune into this place?
Yes. I am a skeptic, too, Mr. Valentine. You have thought we are prejudiced, that we would persuade Lorenzo to endow us with his money, eh? Of course we do. But we don't persuade and talk of court orders.
Just what do you mean?
I was trying to tell you. When Nolan left, an MD moved in. Fred brought him. His job was to see if Lorenzo couldn't be committed to an asylum.
Well, it'd be one way to keep him from giving his money away, wouldn't it?
Obviously, he found Lorenzo was no more irresponsible than...
And besides, you scared the doctor away, I suppose.
Yes?
Well, you have quite an imposing list of degrees. Yes, I did introduce myself. The doctor left. I think he agreed with me that Lorenzo would never be judged insane. He persuaded Fred not to bother calling any experts.
Well, kind of a nasty way to try and stop Lorenzo's little project, but...
Why don't you believe me, Mr. Valentine? This Fred wouldn't stop at anything.
Well, what does Lorenzo have to say about it?
He's not the kind of man to talk about such things.
And we are. And that makes us nasty and suspicious, I suppose.
Oh, Professor Riggs.
But I don't care. Sometimes a woman can tell things that a man has no idea.
No, Amy. We're dealing with a man, so we'll stick to the facts. Here. Sorry my place is such a mess. Little too much equipment for such a small room. But here in the desk, I have a letter from that doctor I spoke of. Just in case you doubt what I said.
No, I don't doubt it. I just don't see what it amounts to.
Switch on the lamp there, Amy.
Of course. Hey,
Huh?
what happened?
Lights, that's all. Blue fuse. I've known there was too much drain on the power. Now just stand still, everyone. I'll run down.
Yeah. That wasn't all that happened.
It sounded like a shot.
Oh, these lights. Hurry, get the...
Give it, will you? That was a shot. It was outside. Come on.
It sounded to me like it was misdirection.
Nobody there, Angel.
Lorenzo! Lorenzo! Oh, no. No, he's not in the rose arbor. That's where he always sits, but he hasn't come out yet, I guess.
Maybe the man could be hiding.
Not in roses, Angel. Not in those thorns. Besides, I just looked down those stairs.
No.
Maybe we were wrong. There's certainly nobody out here now.
Hey there.
Dr. Merkel.
I fixed the light. Lorenzo was mad because he spilled his cigar ashes into his brandy.
He's all right.
Of course. But he didn't hear anything. Everybody is happy.
You know, Fred has been doing some shooting. Almost every day he goes out into the woods and... What's the matter, Mr. Valentine? Do you think our imaginations are running away with us, too?
Professor, let me make a couple of phone calls, will you? And then let me meet this ogre, Fred.
So, you've made inquiries about me. Well, I don't blame you. If you've been talking to the inmates of this squirrel cage for a retired nurse.
Now, just take it easy, Mr. Jeffries. I only wanted to get it straight who you were.
Vice president, lawyer, nursemaid to an old ghost, that's what I am.
Yeah, I know. And in between, you do some shooting.
Yeah. Smell that. Has this gun been fired in the last few hours? I work off steam shooting at squirrels, Mr. Valentine, but scarcely at night.
Okay.
But I know what you mean. I heard that myself. Backfire, I guess. At least I ran out back and then around front and didn't see anything.
All right, Skipper.
No, I don't think I will. You know I tried to railroad Lorenzo into a booby hatch. That's what you really checked on?
Sure. Why not? And I find you did.
But it didn't work. Correct. Mr. Valentine, I'm a practical man. To me, it's beside the point whether this throw your money away stunt of Lorenzo's is good or bad. I have to fight it to protect the estate's interests. I'll try anything, but I'm not given to hysteria.
Would you mind clearing that up?
Sit down. Sit down, please. Lorenzo endows these people for life. Hasn't their interest in it occurred to you? Hasn't it?
Yes, that was a shot.
Out back, I'm sure it was.
Come on.
Rose Arbor. Amy, what in the name of...
Oh, I was there with it. I couldn't see who it was. I couldn't see anything. There was somebody in the dark.
Amy, stop that. Get hold of yourself. Lorenzo?
Yeah. He's dead. Shot to death. Single bullet, Bussy. Big caliber, I guess.
There was a gun flash, but I don't know where it was. Lorenzo was just about to sit down in that big marble chair I was walking behind him.
Professor, couldn't you see anybody?
Oh, I couldn't see anything. Whoever it was got away before
Think, will you, Amy? Try to remember,
But
please.
it startled me so that I couldn't notice anything.
But somebody must have been standing over here by the entrance to the arbor someplace. Yes. The way Lorenzo's allowed these precious roses of his to grow over it. Why, a man could run down any one of these
Get away from there. Get away.
What?
Well, there might be footprints, mightn't there?
Well, I don't see any.
Have you searched him, Mr. Valentine? Search him quickly before he can get rid of the gun.
Professor.
He's been causing trouble for Lorenzo ever since he got
No, Amy, stop it. I think you'd better know now that at the time of Lorenzo's death, Fred was with me.
What? No, I don't believe it.
Now get hold of yourself, please. I've got work to do.
I'll take her inside.
Yeah, that's a good idea, son.
Lorenzo was such a wonderful man.
Shall I call the police, sir?
No, I'll be inside and do it myself. Amy doesn't like you much, does she? No. Well, okay, I want to ask you a question, friend. About Lorenzo's endowing these people for life. What people did you mean? Amy, the female professor, Dr. Merkel, Mr. Hanson. But there would have been others as time went on. A good many others. But if you've been able to make him change his mind, then what? Well, it's his money. Lorenzo could have changed their trust setup, taken it away from them again, and... Oh. But now he can't. That's what you're driving at. Uh-huh. Now you're not a menace anymore. At least to these three. Yes. With Lorenzo dead, their interest has been protected. Yeah. We have three very fine suspects for murder. Everybody happy. Those were the favorite words of Lorenzo. Lorenzo the Great. At least in the eyes of the few people to whose research he was devoting his money. Of course, to his brother-in-law, Fred, the man nobody liked, he was Lorenzo the Foolish. But if your name is George Valentine, he's just Lorenzo the Dead. And there are three very fine suspects for his murder. Yeah, that's right, Sheriff and Stefano, will you please? Yeah, thanks. Well, rather good police around here, I believe. Oh, you've done business with them before, Mr. Hanson, huh? Rather ridiculous. You still don't believe that I didn't hear that shot? I don't know. But I was in my room here. You can't hear anything from that distance. You were alone? Well, of course. A person doesn't write poetry in tandem, you know. Oh, never mind the sarcasm. I can't help it, Mr. Valentine. I'm really sorry that he's dead. Is everybody happy? You know, to Lorenzo, that was more than Ted Lewis's famous phrase. He actually believed we were happy. Oh, what do you mean by that? Well, people like us all want to do something, the opportunity to do it. He gave us the opportunity. And as I understand, now you'll all have it for life. That's the ironic part. I've been here 3 months now, and it's no good, you know. It doesn't work out. Look, you don't make sense. Well, the routine, over and over, every evening, just the same. Merkel out puttering around, me in my room, Amy in hers. Lorenzo in his big marble chair where he could admire his roses. This is called being happy. Mr. Valentine, all I mean is that Lorenzo was a well-intentioned old fool. I was happier when I worked as an accountant and only had a very little time to write my fortune. Okay. It's a good sales talk anyway. That's the truth. Where does this hall lead? The front part of the house. Why? Well, Mr. Hanson, if you're not even interested in Lorenzo's money, then I ought to be looking for his murderer someplace else. That's supposed to be your brand of sarcasm. Wait a minute, hold it. Well, there's no one in there. Dr. Nolan sweet when he was here. Valentine. Nobody in there, huh? You startled me, Valentine. Fred, the villain of the piece. Oh, shut up. As a matter of fact, Nolan hated Lorenzo, you know. Well, there's nothing that says someone from the outside couldn't be the person you're looking for. No, there isn't, sir. But, Fred, what were you doing? Looking for Merkel, Valentine. I can't find him. Merkel? Well, he's always deep in his work at this time of night. His room's right here. He's not in there. I already looked. I'll try the other side of the house, Valentine. Yeah, but wait a minute. Hey, listen, the door closing downstairs. I'll see you later.
George? George?
Oh, it's you, Brooks.
Yes. Come out just a minute ago. Amy's all right now. I saw a light and I thought it was you.
Light? What light?
Well, I don't know now. She's out by the rose garden.
Up it is. Come on.
There was a man on scooter rod. I could see his shadow running around the other way out toward the front.
What? From the arbor in here?
That's where the light was. Nancy, George. Cigarette in my
Wait,
hand.
wait. Let me have yours. Lorenzo's body hasn't been touched.
George, look. Somebody's been trampling around over there where the roses are put.
Yeah. Look closer, Angel. Right on the table here by Lorenzo's chair.
A pocket flashlight.
His mirror. Pieces of wire. Copper wire.
Why wouldn't he take these things with him?
Real tricky mirror, too. See here. Steel frame to hold it in place. Only what place?
L.N.
Huh?
The pocket flashlight initials.
Leon Merkel.
Yes. He was the one I saw.
Sure. This makes sense, all right. Careful. I almost fell over him myself.
Dr. Merkel, oh no.
Blood on his head. Here, help me. He's dead.
No? No, he's breathing, George.
What? Just there. That brick there. Somebody hit him with that brick. See the blood on it? Let's lift him. Get him back in the house. No, don't touch him. Brooksy, stay here with him.
Valentine, are you crazy? Whoever did this is right around us somewhere. Right here on the dock.
Leave her. She'll be all right. The sheriff's car will come up that driveway in about 1 second.
Let's turning him now, George.
What's the murder? Back to the rose arbor. Fred, step on it. I'll get the murderer, all right.
I'm sure the police have flashlights or lanterns.
Never mind them. Their first job is taking care of Merkel. Getting him in a hospital so he lives.
Yes, of course. Oh, he's stormed. What are you looking for?
Well, the murderer will be pretty disappointed if Merkel dies. Or if he lives, they should say one big blow and figured he was dead.
Yes, but what was Merkel doing out here by himself?
And I'll be pretty disappointed if he doesn't live. There's a real mild understatement, Fred. Don't you get it? He was running for help.
What?
Yeah, that's right. And here's where the mirror was. It fits, see? Just about in line with Lorenzo, where he was shot, stepping in front of his marble chair there.
Look, I asked you about Merkel, not Lorenzo.
Merkel had a lot of the facts, and he had to play detective. He was out here doing the same thing I am. Only the facts aren't here anymore.
What facts, for heaven's sake?
Brother, listen. Just the police out in front, wasn't it?
No. It was right close by.
Now, you listen, Fred. Merkel noticed the same thing I did, that first shot.
What?
Sure, that's what I'm looking for on the chair here. There ought to be... Here we are. The splintered place.
You mean that first shot was fired here in the same place?
Yeah, looks that way. The bullet that was still in Lorenzo couldn't have done that. And over here, there ought to be... Here's something.
What is it?
Mr. Valentine. Mr. Valentine.
Amy.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
The sheriff is taking care of Dr. Merkel.
Yes, I know.
What's that you're holding?
Well, I'm not sure, Amy. A piece of black glass, filter maybe, or is it red?
What?
Yeah, sure. It'd have to be an infrared light, or you'd have seen it, wouldn't you?
Mr. Valentine, what on earth? I didn't see anything. I told you I
But there's
didn't.
another possibility. That there wasn't anything to see.
But the man who fired the
Hey,
gun.
Amy, when the gun fired that first time, it happened when you switched on the lights, didn't it?
Mr. Valentine.
Take it easy, both of you, will you? I'll make sense. Professor, that guy who used to be here, that Dr. Nolan, who didn't make the grade and got sore at Lorenzo, he was an electronics man, wasn't he? Well, did he have any equipment? Is there any of it still around?
Equipment?
Yeah, like maybe a photoelectric cell.
What?
You heard me. A photoelectric cell can be used to do anything from opening a garage door to setting off a burglar alarm. So why couldn't it be used to fire a gun?
Mr. Valentine, I just don't understand.
I do. Dr. Nolan.
Yeah, at least that would explain the mirror and copper wire and the black glass. And it would explain what else Merkel figured out. But a short circuit, when you switch the light, would have fired the first shot by accident. Anything that interferes with the beam of the cell, its current, in other words, could very easily fire a gun.
Magnet releasing the trigger, for instance.
No, I don't follow you at all.
And then the second time, after a reload, I guess, the gun fired when Lorenzo stepped in front of the beam. When he sat down in the same place he came to every night.
Oh. But if you can't find the gun or that cell phone...
I know where to find it, don't worry. There's only one earthly reason for killing a person with a mechanical contraption. And that's to set up a perfect alibi. Well, don't look so blank, Fred. Sure, I know how upsetting it's all been. Merkel's still alive so he can talk. But it's a little ironic, too, isn't it? Set up a perfect alibi, Fred, and then get hung by the fact you're the only person with an alibi. Now, let's go upstairs and take a look at Dr. Nolan's room, shall we? You want to bet that's where we'll find the equipment? With your fingerprints on it?
Well, Fred?
Well, Dusty, you've only got a couple of seconds, so make up your mind. Yeah, right here, Angel, I'm pissing.
But the sheriff is through with Dr. Merkel now.
You and the sheriff meet me upstairs, will you? Oh, Fred, how about it? You coming?
It would have been so different if you hadn't been here.
Oh, sure, I know. Things kind of got away from you, didn't they?
Mr. Valentine, look out!
I suppose you might find the photoelectric cell upstairs, but I doubt if you'd find the gun.
Oh, yeah. Didn't get rid of it yet, huh?
No. So things kind of get away from you, too, don't they?
George!
Stand still, proceed.
Hey, you! What's that? Stop!
And that was it. I suppose Mrs. Jeffries was already so desperate after trying to get rid of Dr. Merkel.
Sure, but a bullet in the leg just makes him talk that much faster.
You know, I thought that since Lorenzo's money was already in your name, Professor, and Dr. Hanson...
There was only 3, Angel. If Lorenzo had enough money to figure on and dying 40 or 50, then there was plenty left for Fred to try to hang on to by killing him.
But now what'll happen?
I don't know. But after this, I have a hunch the courts will let his endowment plan go right on through. He'll still be remembered as Lorenzo the Great, all right.
Is everybody happy? It's a wonderful thing to try for, isn't it?
Sure. No matter what kind of answers you get.
But if you keep asking the question,
Oh, don't be so serious, Angel. All it leads to is a song called When My Baby Smiles at Me. You have just heard Is Everybody Happy? Another Let George Do It adventure. Robert Bailey will star as George Valentine, with Virginia Gregg as Brooksy. David Victor and Jackson Gillis wrote the story, with music by Eddie Dunstetter. Now, this is yours truly inviting you to another visit with Valentine, when you will again hear what happens when you let George do it.
Welcome back. Well, a pretty technologically advanced murder for 1951. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the details may be off, and any of my listeners who are savvy with that sort of equipment can feel free to correct the episode. One thing this episode did get me to do was to look into Ted Lewis, because I was kind of wondering, if there was a reason, like if Ted Lewis had passed away, like, Al Jolson died kind of, in the early 1950s, so somebody who had been involved, in vaudeville, that might have been the case. But no, it actually turns out that Ted Lewis was very much alive, would continue to be so, for another 20 years after this episode. And he had actually been successful for a really long time. He'd started out in vaudeville, but he'd continued to be popular and commercially successful for a long time. There were actually 2 musicals made with the title Is Everybody Happy, starring Ted Lewis. one in 1929 and the other in 1943, which definitely says something about his staying power, because there were a whole lot of people who were stars in the 1920s that really went into obscurity, unable to keep up with the public's changing taste. Now, what I've been able to find of Lewis's stuff is really, it's kind of typical stuff that you would associate with vaudeville. Very enthusiastic, and I think he kind of goes into the same category as Al Jolson and Jimmy Durante in that way, because there's this wide public consensus that vaudeville was a bit over the top and schmaltzy, and many of the jokes are viewed as a bit tired and worn out. And the songs are a bit over the top, and the vocalists not necessarily what we would consider to be great singers with superb singing voices. However, even as that public consensus formed, a lot of people who had been on vaudeville remained successful into the 50s and 60s, despite the fact that the type of singing or comedy they were doing had gone out of style. And I think it was because there was really a lot of heart and sincerity in their performances. And that really connected with audiences, even if the exact genre or approach was no longer in favor. I should mention that there is actually a Ted Lewis Museum in Circleville, Ohio, which may seem like an odd place for it to be, but it was his hometown. And despite requests from the Smithsonian and Harvard and Yale and the city of New York, it was decided this was going to his hometown. That was his wish. And so the Ted Lewis Museum is still in operation in Circleville, Ohio. And you can go and visit Saturdays 10 to 4 or by appointment. Now we turn to listener comments and feedback, and we have this from Barry, who writes, "Hi, Adam. Thanks so much for your podcast. Your research adds a lot to the shows. Thanks for preserving radio. I subscribe to the Great Detectives of Old Time Radio podcast using the Apple Podcast app on my iPhone 6. Periodically, the subscription disappears. I use iOS 12.4. I subscribe again, and it happened again. This doesn't happen on your other podcasts like Let George Do It. On Let George Do It, I enjoy the Chevron commercials. They remind me when a service station really provided service. At the end of the episode, it says provided by the Mutual Don Lee Network. Please tell me something about Don Lee and the Mutual Network." The Don Lee Network actually went back to the 1920s when there were this group of stations that became affiliated under Don Lee, put out their own programming. And there was an initial partnership between the Don Lee network and CBS. And programs that originated from Don Lee during this period were known as the Don Lee Columbia Network. But that ultimately fell apart because of disagreements. And then you get the Don Lee Mutual Network, which allowed Mutual to have some coast-to-coast programming. But the Don Lee networks out west, they produce some of their own local programming that was not broadcast to the rest of the country. And Let George Do It falls into that category, which is why we do end up with these syndicated programs, because they were only broadcast on the West Coast, and they were repackaged and sent east to be resyndicated there. Barry writes, "I don't listen to Richard Diamond because the whistling triggers my misophonia. Misophonia is a neurological condition. A trigger can cause a strong involuntary fight or flight or freeze reaction in me. See misophonia.com and misophoniainternational.com for more information. We are trying to educate people how serious the condition is. Whistling is a common trigger. Thanks again for all you do. Well, Barry, I'm sorry that Richard Diamond causes that problem. It's definitely a challenge that modern creators, as we learn more about how certain things such as whistling or bright light may affect a segment of the population, how do you take that into account when designing your works? And I think that's going to be a question for many years to come. But thanks so much for the email, Barry. And I do also want to go ahead and thank our Patreon supporter of the day. And I want to go ahead and thank Steve. Steve has been one of our Patreon supporters since May and is currently supporting us at the Detective Sergeant level of $7.14 or more per month. Thanks so much for your support, Steve. And that will do it for today. Join us back here tomorrow for Rocky Jordan. Next Tuesday, another episode of Let George Do It. In the meantime, send your comments to box13 at greatdetectives.net. Follow us on Twitter at Radio Detectives and become one of our friends on Facebook, facebook.com/Radio Detectives. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham, signing off.